I got a bunch of new metal for you, and I'm introducing a new segment to the show this week, so let's get it. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, John Barbas. Make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for this week's album art of the week. And longtime subscribers will know that I always talk about the big album releases before I do my top 5 of the week. And this week we got a whole bunch of them, so let's just blast through these real fast like. Alright, this week we got a new album from Borknagar called Fall. This is progressive folk metal out of Norway. And there's a new record from Amaranth. No, not that Amaranth. The Swedish heavy metal band Amaranth. And the subject of this week's podcast, the comeback, the mighty return of Job for a Cowboy, Moonhealer. And speaking of OG bands, there's a new record from Darkest Hour called Perpetual Terminal. Yeah, old school metalcore. Alright, in this next one, I've got kind of mixed feelings about Austrian death machine with Quad Brutal. And one of my big heroes in life is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So if you give me a Schwarzenegger themed death metal band, I'm all about it. Now, Arnold doesn't really have the best record when it comes to his treatment of women. And speaking of that, I didn't know that Tim Lambesis is the mind behind this band. And so, he did pay his debt to society, right? Like, we can't punish him forever, I guess. Now let's do my top 5 favorite crushing metal albums this week. Coming in at number 5, Fange, or is it Fange? It's French, so I guarantee I mispronounced that text on the screen just in case. And as always, every band's Bandcamp link will be in the description so that these records are easy for you to find. This is Perdition, industrial sludge metal, and I love the vocals on this. It's got that old school industrial sort of dirtiness to it, but then the vocals is a lot of shouting, and at times it even reminds me of death metal. I love death metal, I love industrial metal too, so check it out. Coming in at number 4, Desolate Tomb. Was scorned by misery. This is Deathcore out of Oklahoma. And why I really like this is because you can hear a lot of slam metal influences in this Deathcore. So it doesn't sound so like monster, it sounds more like tough guy. I really enjoyed how heavy this is. Check it out. Coming in at number 3, and I think that this might be the first band to make it on one of my top 5s of the week twice. That's because they just had an album last year. This is Hammerhead with Not Important, progressive groove metal out of Missouri. Now, y'all might remember many years ago there was this viral video of these little kids playing thrash metal in the cul-de-sac, and it was like, wow, these little kids are actually really good. This song that they wrote is pretty killer, actually. Well, those kids grew up and they kind of evolved their sound a little bit. Now, not even a little bit, a lot. Now they have all these odd time signatures. And last year's record was kind of more heavy. This year's record kind of sounds like 90s psychedelia to me, with, of course, metal, like alternate picking, odd time signature sort of stuff. Definitely unique. I absolutely love that these kids took that and ran with it, and not only that, but they've developed their own thing. It's really awesome. Check out Hammerhead. Coming in at number 2, Hypoxia with Defiance. This is death metal out of New York. I also reviewed this one for Metal Digest. A lyric on this one really jumped out of my earphones to me. 7 deadly sins, 7 ways to join him. I heard that and I was like, ooh. And then plus all the really filthy grooves on this. Yeah, you got me with that one, guys. I love this record. Check it out. And normally, right here is where I beg for like and subscribes before we do the number 1 album of the week. But there's so much going on. Let's use this time to talk about something else. Okay, I want to debut a new segment for this show, and we'll do that right after number one, before the album art of the week, because I got this great suggestion from a comment that said, hey, next time there's a slow week, why don't you suggest like an older album? And I thought that was a great idea, but why not expand it a little further? Because if this year's anything like last year, it's going to be December before we get another slow week. And a lot of times there's albums that I think are pretty cool, but they just don't quite fit. Or maybe there's an EP. We never talk about EPs. This is an album show, or maybe there's just something weird, just something cool to talk about. We're going to call this segment Dealer's Choice. We'll have that right after number one. So let's not delay anymore. Let's do number one. Coming in at number one, Mortiscold with Creation Undone, death metal out of Wisconsin. A lot of death metal this week. Hey, I don't know why. Seems like certain genres like to release on certain weeks. There was a lot of great death metal this week, and this one was really great. I like how on this album, it sounds like the band kind of captured that live energy. It definitely feels live. But at the same time, the production is clear and crisp. I don't hear any studio trickery. I don't hear the drums being on the grid. I don't hear like a lot of punch-ins or, EQing it to make it sound cleaner than it normally is. It's just tight performance on the recording. And I like how most of the songs just kind of start. There's no intro, there's no pretension. It's just kick your ass right away. I love that. It's old school death metal with an angry bite. We're not done yet because let's do the new segment now, y'all. All right, the new segment, we're calling this Dealer's Choice, where I just get to pick one because I like it. And this one, I don't just like it. I love it. This is Life Cycles with Portal to the Unknown, crossover thrash out of San Antonio. This is a quick EP, and we don't normally do EPs here because if I include EPs, well, I could not possibly listen to all the albums and all the EPs. It's not enough time in the week, and so I just don't normally do EPs. And then also, this one came out on Thursday. Most albums come out on Friday. Of course, albums come out every day of the week, but most of the good big ones come out on Friday. So if they don't come out on Friday, sometimes I miss them, to be honest. I didn't miss this one because it's so good. If it was a full album, it would have been number one with a bullet. It's easily the thing that I enjoyed the most this week, even more than Job for a Cowboy. And if you saw the podcast, you know how much I love the new Job for a Cowboy. This EP rules. Y'all know how much I like Enforced, and this really reminds me of Enforced. How so? Well, the groove, the angry groove where they just keep switching riffs and it just keeps making you go ooh and twist your face up. It's just constantly moving, constantly changing tempo. Never, ever a boring riff. Just guitar for days. Live Cycles, you gotta get this one. And this is gonna be a band I'm gonna watch. I need a LP, a full album from this band ASAP. Again, that's Life Cycles with Portal to the Unknown. You gotta get that one. Now let's do this week's album art of the week. My favorite album art this week came from Atoll with Inhuman Implants. And like I told y'all many times, I don't normally pick monsters and skulls, but this monster, this skull, this one was like, ooh. When I see like just a piece of the skull coming off the front and the eyeballs are still behind it, I was like, ooh. And then there's meaty tentacles, and I'm like, ugh! Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I try to pick the more artsy ones, but it's a death metal week, so let's go with some brutal death metal, right? And speaking of death metal, did you see this week's podcast where we broke down the contents of Job for a Cowboy's new album, Moon Healer? You can just click right here if you want to catch that. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I